truck. Good Attitude Services. Just got some fuel. Dropped off my pallet. Got a snack. And energy drink. Well, I kind of wanted just coffee, but ended up with this double shot thing. Probably don't need that much. Get that stuff on there. See how it tastes. Oh yeah, it's a little too much for me. I like caffeine, but that's a little too much, I think, probably. Got enough gas. I'll turn this off. I don't need these things anymore. And now, here we go. Just got back from, I drove out to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It wasn't raining when I got there, but it was a hard one to see, man. It wasn't raining when I got there, but now it's raining. I came back, it started raining pretty hard, so I hope it doesn't rain as much as it was. A little bit pouring rain, man. It doesn't rain that much out here usually, but it's better than snow. Snow is a whole nother story. I might have to come out here next week again, depending on the load. Let's see, we got that. Alright, let's head on out. Whew. Yeah, anyway, so I just did it was a pallet load. 75 mile, wait, no, sorry. Yes, if you count the drive to and the drive here, 75 miles. Yeah, that's, and then back is 100 full runs 100 miles, so it's not too bad. I like it actually, because I don't have to do any labor. They just forklift it in, forklift it out, drive. Just drive it, that's it. It's not too bad, especially if it's not at night. Daytime driving's not too bad. The winter's a little, because it starts getting dark already. Like it's only not even late, but it's already getting, towards dark. We got the headlights on. It's starting to get probably by the time I get back to where I'm at, home, it'll be dark. So I started a little later than I thought I would. So that's why I think I don't get an early start sometimes. Gotta drive slow just through town here. I'm gonna take it easy. There's a lot of pedestrians here. Sidewalk or crosswalk, so I get to get slow. Restaurants and things around here. I just take it slow, easy. Don't want a ticket. And once I get on the freeway, it's fine. Ooh, that's got a lot of sugar. Coming back. These windshield wipers I think might need replacing, but I've had them for going on, I don't know how many years I've had these, probably at least 4 or 5 years. Probably should have replaced them. They work, but they make a lot of noise. So yeah, Not too bad, dude. The guy I talked to today, who hired me as a vendor. That's what they call it. They're like a vendor. They're not subcontracting. They're hiring you for deliveries, and he said he's going to have another couple runs coming up in the next week or two. So it's a good break just to kind of drive and just charge per mile. I charge $2 per mile. Now if this is because it's long distance, like anything above 10 miles or anything below 10 miles, I'm going to just charge a $50 flat fee. When it goes above 10 miles, I got to start charging the $2 per mile. So it makes sense, right? It's still a fairly decent price. I've heard of people, I was looking up, because I don't know anything about expediting. I'm not really involved with that business. But I've read on forums that you can get up to $3 per mile. But I'm just kind of giving them a deal. I think that's pretty good. It works out too. I think after fuel and for the mileage, I think I end up getting pretty good. It's much better it's actually more than some of the moving jobs I'm doing. The thing about the moving jobs is you're doing so much labor. You got to charge for the labor, but sometimes it's just driving. You're getting better than the cost of labor because you're using your vehicle, and there's a lot of maintenance that goes into the vehicle and the insurance and so forth, and the risk that you have to add into your costs. And so for labor, you're just charging for you lifting things, moving things around. I gotta turn this down here. It's gonna be loud here. So you don't end up charging as much. I think labor can be it's harder than driving, but you're not having to pay for the maintenance of your vehicle as much. Just going there. Last time I drove out here, I think I filmed it. It was snowing. Now it's raining. And that was like a couple weeks ago, so it snowed, now it's raining. It doesn't taste too bad. It's just, I know it's got a ton of caffeine, so I want to lay off it. I don't want to ingest that much caffeine. I already had coffee this morning. Sometimes you're driving like especially with a warm heater going, it's cold outside, it makes you drowsy, so you gotta have some kind of caffeine. Unfortunately, for me, I do. When I'm driving like hours, I used to drive long distance with I did the tractor trailer, and I had to have coffee when I was doing that, because you're driving sometimes 9 or 10 hours straight. You take breaks and stuff. This road here, you got to be real careful, because it's just a 2-laner, and there's no divider, so these people are flying in here on this side, real close. So you got to be careful. I take it easy when I'm doing this. Now it's getting hot. Turn it down a little bit. And now it's getting. Hopefully I get back before it's too dark, or at least get on the freeway before. See, I'm in the rural area. I'm outside of the city right now. So when it gets dark, it's hard to down these country roads. It's there's deer crossing back and forth. You gotta watch for deer. But once you get on the freeway, it's not too bad. You're out there, and it's a pretty quick shot back into the city. truck's running good. And it's running smooth. I'm glad for that. I checked the oil, and the oil it's not burning much oil like it used to. I mean, that's kind of weird. It used to, well, I haven't gone that many miles. It's an old, I got over 100, it's about 170,000 miles on the motor. So it's got quite a bit of miles. That's why I don't take it, you know, I try not to go too far. If I have to go any further than this, I'm going to rent a van, you know, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I'm just going on 50 miles out, 50 miles back, it's a little too far for me, but it's on the major freeway. There's enough towns in between here. I have AAA that'll come out if I need a tow. They'll tow me 150 miles. So and there's enough. It's close enough to the city where you'll find a tow truck. I've been out. I blew a tire out way out in the mountains one time, and I contacted AAA because at the time I didn't have a spare, which was stupid. I should have a spare. But even with a spare, these trucks, it's too hard to change, and I just want to get AAA to do it. So I waited like hours. I mean, I finally just took a cab into town. I mean, I was able to luckily, I was very lucky to get a cab from the town and get a motel because I needed to buy a tire and all that. And it worked out, but I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be out that far where you're out in the middle of the country, nowhere. At night, too. I mean, so I prefer to stay within a 20 to 30 mile range. But I make an exception for this company because they're really nice people. They're fair. And I'm not going to do it every single day. So it's not too bad. I'm not too worried. It's kind of, there's enough shops and tow trucks and mechanics on this, so I could get things done pretty quick. Plus I could just Uber back if I had to. If I broke down here, and I had to get it towed, and I had to wait for a tow truck, you know, if I needed to go back the next day or something. Something happened like that, I could Uber it back. You always want enough money in your account, you know, in your Uber account, you know, in case that happens. I mean, Uber's everywhere, but I'm gonna turn this on again. A lot of traffic right now. Wow. Okay, that's right. It's 4 o'clock. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. 3:30. God, it's already this dim and dark. 3:30. That's one thing I don't like about winter. I'm not really much of a morning person. I know I should be, but there's rain. But I spent many years as a musician, playing like three or four nights. So, you know, playing all the time. I was playing like 4 or 5 bands. So I got used to staying up 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I used to work a job. I used to work at UPS at the hub, loading trucks, sorting out packages at 3 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes I would till 3 till like the next morning. And then I'd work another job after. And I work at the distribution center for the library. When I got done with that, I would bus over and work at the distribution center. So sometimes I had to sleep, hardly any sleep, but all those years of just playing in bands, you're a night owl, you know, and then working graveyard. So when I stopped doing that, I was like, I'm gonna sleep in. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to get up at 3 o'clock and 2 o'clock in the morning. So I try to take jobs in the afternoon, but then when it comes to this, you know, you got to do your stuff early sometimes, or you're going to be stuck out at night. And these warehouses, they want their certain time to pick up their loads before they close. So you got to get up a little bit earlier sometimes. But I'm not I'm not a big fan of early morning shifts. I used to work a lot of warehouses. You were working there early in the morning, and you got to be there at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Construction, you got to be there at 6. Not a big fan, but I should probably train myself to get up earlier because you get more work that way. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll get up and I'll be just like, kind of not ready to do any work. And one of those apps like Curry, where they run loads, like they run like kind of like Hotshot or whatever, where they need it at a certain time, and they'll pay you extra to get there. And they usually do those on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I'm like, I get up and the thing's going off, and I'm sleeping. I'm like waking up and the phone's going off, and I got a load, and the load's paying good money, and I was like, but I'm just like, I'm not even ready. And then by the time I get ready, someone else took the load. So in that case, you're losing money when you're not ready for a load in the morning. But it's hard to predict those loads because they're not predictable. But when I get a call and I have to, someone contracts me for a load or whatever, I usually I set the time that I want. Like today, I said, I'll be there at 1 o'clock. They don't care as long as you get it done. They're not in a super rush. If you get it done, they're happy. They'll call you back. You're nice to them. You communicate with them. I have to email them. Make sure they know I'm going there so they can communicate with the shipper and all that. Yeah, it's raining pretty heavy right now. Raining heavy, man. It's dark. You can see the clouds are thick. I'm on the east. I'm all the way by Idaho, on the far eastern side of Washington. Usually it's much drier here in the winter. It snows a lot, but like you get a lot of precipitation in the winter, but it's usually snow, not rain. Where on the other side of the Cascades, it's all rain for the most part, and you get very little snow. So the fact that it's raining this much, I think this typically would have been snow, but it's just not cold enough. And I'm glad it is rain because I wouldn't be doing this job right now. If this much snow was coming down, I wouldn't be driving. I'm not going to go out and do that. So, yeah. Oh, lightning. Is that lightning? I just take it easy when I'm driving on this kind of thing. But now that pallet, the guy who forklifted it in, and it was sometimes they'll push, because they're talking about thousands of pounds on a pallet. And sometimes they'll push it in, past the wheel well, so it's, so you're more of a balanced load. Like you don't want to be too far you don't want to be really directly on the wheel wells. So you get more of a balanced load. So I was kind of concerned because he just kind of popped it in there, and it was just he kind of just set it down. It's really hard to see. He just set it on the back, right? Just right where the door was, like where you close the door. So the whole weight of it was all on the right on the back, so sometimes it's like I just kind of fishtail, but I don't know why, it didn't seem to be fine. Didn't have a problem. They're all perfectly fine. But I prefer to have the pallet a little bit further up, I saw some guy on YouTube, he had like a winch system in his van, like he had one of those Sprinter vans, where they do a lot of these pallet loads, expediting pallet loads. and he had a, with a cable, and he hooked it onto the pallet, and he pulled the pallet all the way up front, so that he had a little closer. So I thought that's kind of cool, but I couldn't do that here. I have a big box. There's a wall right here. You can't really set up a winch like that. I guess you could, but maybe just take up too much space. But for the expediting, the more I look into it, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is mostly done. I don't think anybody does it with a box, like a box van. I mean, yeah, certain people do it with bigger 26-foot trucks. But most of these guys are running 1 or 2 pallets. They're running a Sprinter van or a ProMaster or a transit van, like a Ford Transit van. And those they do better with, you can actually put more weight in those. Surprisingly, I mean, you wouldn't think, but that's the way I've looked into it. So that might be something to look into in the future. But the thing is like, I'm not going to dive in 100% into expediting, because I do enjoy doing the moving and the customer service behind that, and the junk removal. Getting really heavy giving good payouts for volume in your truck. I just did a junk removal a couple days ago. It worked out to be about the same, but less time. So I don't want to dive in. I'm not really thinking about diving into investing in a $30,000 van and trying to get brokers and you have to get an MC number, motor carrier, DOT, and then you have to basically, if you're going to make that van work for you, you're going to be driving long distance, not just in and out of town. You're going to be driving out of state, cross country. And I did that before with a truck, with a tractor trailer. It's fun, but it's not really something that I want to do on a permanent basis. And I did it for fun when I was younger. It was a way to travel and see the United States for free and then get some money. I wasn't planning on doing that forever. You got to be a certain type of person to be that kind of person, like a road dog, I prefer to be in town. If I'm going to run these expediting runs, I'm going to run in town, or at least in the vicinity, in the area, Maybe going to the other side of the state, or up north or south, or maybe going to Idaho and maybe Montana, but not like running across the United States. That's something for a different type of person, not me. Make good money, I guess. I mean, I've seen people doing it. I like building up a service in the community, having repeat customers and working with the people in the community and the place around me. And I enjoy that. And it's getting kind of hazy out here. I mean, wow. These people like to drive. You notice that? I don't know about where you're at, but people like to tailgate around here. And when it's raining, you don't want to do that, man. I give cars some distance, at least a couple car distance. When I drove tractor trailer, when I went to trucking school, that was one of the first things they tell you when you're driving the thing is give a truck, like a whole truck, like a truck and a trailer distance between the vehicle in front of you, which they don't do. Because they said it takes, and if you ever driven something with 80,000 pounds in the back and air brakes, when you're pressing those brakes, it just feels like you're pressing a sponge. And it doesn't really react for a while, not like a car where you just slam the brakes on and you start skidding, or you have your ABS, whatever you call that brake system, where it doesn't do that. You're not running disc brake, like those kind of brakes, like what do you call it? What's the name of that? That system where it kind of breaks your brake like really fast. At least when I drove a truck, it didn't do that. So they said in trucking school that it actually would take a like to stop one of those at 80,000 pounds, would be you press the brakes, and by the time you stop, it's like going 100 yards on a football field, you know. So you learn to stay back. But I do see some of these truck drivers, they're driving fairly close to each other. I mean, I don't advise that. Even with me, I'm driving far. I want to have time to react. It happened to me before where I was driving and I had learned that from truck driving school. I mean, and trucking on the road. I always, abided by those principles, and it worked for me. And after when I was driving a car, after I'd done that, and I was still doing that with the car, I was driving way behind everybody, giving way a lot of space between the other vehicle. And what happened, it was going over a pass, and it became a huge pileup, like one car crashed, and they were all driving so close to each other. It turned into like a bunch of cars just smashing into each other. And I'm looking at this, and I'm driving behind it, and it was like in slow motion. I don't know if you've ever been seen an accident, like when you're seeing something like that, an event like that, it almost goes into slow motion. So I'm like witnessing this go on. I'm way back, and I'm seeing all these cars smashing and flipping and everything. It was a disaster, and so I was far enough back that when I was watching this, I was able to turn over onto the, on the side of the road, like just get over to the side. And then these cars behind me, they were going so fast, they were smashing into the cars. So I remember that saved my life, because I don't know what would have happened, because it was a disaster. So ever since then, I make sure I'm way behind. I'm staying far enough behind where I can brake, and then I look behind me to see if people are like. Cause sometimes what happens is I'm looking behind and see these guys hammering behind me, and I get over to the side, they just keep going. Yeah, people drive too fast, too close to each other. They don't have enough time to react, especially in snow and ice. And when that happened, there was no snow or no ice. It was just regular day. But I've seen videos of ice when there's ice storms like that, and these trucks can't stop. And it's a nightmare. It's ridiculous. So yeah, make sure try to give the car in front of you distance. Give yourself time to react. And don't drive too fast. It might save your life. It did for me. I take driving very seriously. I don't take it as a game. I mean, when I was younger, I was a kid. I got my driver's license. It was a game. You're driving around. I used to speed a lot, and I remember when I was a teenager, I bought my first car. It was a muscle car. It had a big engine. And back then you could buy those big cars for a lot cheaper than they are now. And so me and my friends would, we'd buy these bigger cars, these pretty beefy engines, V8 engine cars. And one time we went out, we were racing, and at night when there was nobody around, ran some red lights, and the cops pulled us over, and they're like, we're going to give you a chance. We'll give you a chance, but next time, we see you doing this next time, we're going to have that car impounded, and then you're going to lose your license, basically, and you're going to have reckless driving. And in that case, too, I mean, driving at those speeds and running red light, doing that kind of stupid stuff, that's like a felony, reckless driving. They can take your car, they can take your license, So that scared me. And the cop said that. I'm like, okay, and I never did it again. He gave us a warning. He gave us a chance. Luckily, we didn't hurt anybody, because you can. And that would be a manslaughter. You know, if you hit someone doing that, you're done. So, yeah, and I used to speed a lot. I don't do that at all. I mean, I gave that up after I almost lost my license for speeding, excessive speeding, like 6 times. Not reckless, but speeding. And they were going to take my license, and they gave me, I had to take a special class. Luckily, thankful to the state, they gave me a special class to where I took the class, and we had to watch videos and you know, fill out the paperwork or whatever. Then they allowed me to get my driver's license reinstated, and that was like a long time ago. And ever since then, I just drive the speed limit. I'm like, it's not worth it, man, because you lose your driver's license, you know, and you can't work. Very hard these days to do any kind of work without a car or a driver's license. You gotta take it seriously. You gotta take it and drive with respect. Plus, it's dangerous. You know, you don't want to hurt anybody. So I take it with ease. I take it with respect, and always driving with caution. And I don't mind taking my time, you know, I don't mind, like, if there's traffic, I'm just going to sit there, and I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress out, and, you know, you see people, they road rage, they can't handle it, like, they can't even handle, like, waiting, like, you see these people, they're like, they'll pass you up, you know, going, like, insane amount of speed, you know, just blasting through, and then you get to the light, and they're right there. They haven't gone any further than you have. So, I don't know. It's not having, I don't know, it's patience, it's anxiety. I don't know what it is, why people have to drive that way. I mean, when I was driving that way when I was younger, it was more about being foolish, you know, being like watching too many movies or something, you know, like watching race car movies and just being foolish. That's basically it. You know, having what they call it, in the old days, they called it having a lead foot. It's being stupid, you know, and I barely even press the gas pedal anymore. I mean, once the car's going, they don't need much gas on a car, not in a modern car. And the old cars, I had an old Volkswagen bus, 1960 bus, with like a 1200 engine, and then I had to replace the engine with a 1600. You had to floor that thing to the ground to get it going anywhere when you're going uphill. And some other, older cars with a carburetor were much less responsive, unless you had it beefed up with a turbo and all that. But you had to use the pedal a lot more. These Buick, since computerized fuel injection, you barely touch the pedal, the thing goes. Much more efficient with gas and all that. Now this truck here has got a big V8, but it's medium. It's a medium V8. It's only a 4.8 liter. It's not a big 6 liter. It's pretty mediocre for a V8, especially with a truck. I mean, for a hauling stuff. But it still has a good response. Even with loads in it, it responds pretty well. I'm happy with it so far. I've had it for a long time. Alright, we're back home here. Coming in. And, alright. I think, so I left it, I got a late start. I'm supposed to be there at 1, or I told him I would. I ended up leaving pretty late. And I think I probably got there in Idaho about 1:30, and then of course I had to wait around for the guy with the forklift, and he got it in there, and I left, and then went to the other warehouse, which is about 50 miles away, what time is it now? We're having the red light now, so it's 3:48, so 1:30. I stopped for some coffee. Let's see. 1:30. So a couple hours. I mean, a little more than a couple hours. And I'm driving pretty relaxed. I'm not hammering it or anything. So, not too bad. Not too bad. I'll do that again. I'll work for them again. I like the fact that it's going down the main freeway. You just go off the freeway down, but it's all kind of in the same loop, you know. You're not going up any country roads, or, I mean, there's a country road, but it's flat. It's not like you're going up the mountains. You get those mountain roads, that's where it gets kind of sketchy, especially with it, you know, rain and all that. I don't need this thing on while I'm doing it. It's not raining that much. I got to change these windshield wipers. They squeak a lot, but they've lasted a long time. Usually windshield wipers don't last that long. Usually, like my car, I have to change the windshield wipers every year, because here you get hot summers, hot and dry summers. It's very cold and snowy winters, so the extreme weather just wears out your windshield wipers fast. So usually every year, but these here are really good. They lasted, like, I've had them for like 4 or 5 years. It's pretty good. They still clear the water up really good, but they make a lot of noise. So I think they're kind of worn out. But okay, traffic is heavy. Look at this. Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed lately. All day long. It's not like it used to be where between 9 and 5, you know, if you went out at 9, you knew they were going to have a bunch of traffic. And then you could kind of gauge things, like you could go out at 11 o'clock and drive around, do jobs or whatever, and it'd be nice. Pretty slow. Well, now I think people's work schedules are totally different. They're not your standard, 9 to 5 anymore. And not like everybody had 9 to 5. I used to work graveyard sometimes, but people have different shifts, but for the most part, it was a lot slower in the middle of the day, but it seems to me like people are just driving around all the time now. I think people just have a lot of people work from home. People have different types of schedules that are more flex work, I guess. I think also there's a lot of people that are independent contractors driving around doing delivery apps, delivering things, and there's a lot more of those independent contractor apps where you can work as a driver, and you can drive all day long. You can make a living out of just driving all day long, delivering, doing Uber, or delivering food, or delivering packages, or doing freight. And that work is much easier to get independently now with the computer than it was, back in the day. Back in the day, they would have companies they would contract with, so it was more traditional. But now it's like they're opening it up for more independent contractor work, which is good. But it seems to me like there's just more people on the road. That's my theory. Might be wrong, I don't know. So yeah, traffic all day long. Be careful when you're driving. I have to go get gas. Oh no, I got gas. What am I doing? I forgot. I got gas. That's right. I could go get more, but I think I'm cool. I'll just go home and have a dinner or a snack or something. Oh yeah, so that was easy. The thing about driving jobs, they're like, you can't be too relaxed, because you have to be aware of the road conditions and things like that. So you have to be awake, aware. You don't want to take it too light. I know it's relaxing, but unless you have a self-driving vehicle, which I don't know if they have. I know they have some, but the ones that have the autopilot, then you can be a little less, I guess you can kind of relax a little more. I'm sure that, the newer trucks have that driver assist. So, yeah, driver assist, I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. I've never been in a vehicle like that. I've seen people on the internet driving driver assist vehicles. So I know they exist. So then you could probably, I guess you could get on some of those cars. I'm guessing you could get on the freeway and turn on autopilot, and it has all these sensors that are there that help you, manage while you're on the freeway, which is interesting. That's an interesting concept. I'm also seeing these. I don't know if this is true, but I saw something where they had these tires that are airless tires, and they're made like a mesh or something. I don't know how you explain it, but you don't have to put air in them. And I'm like, wow, those are great. They're probably really expensive. I don't know where you get them, but that would be, you would feel safer, because I've had blowouts, and blowouts are crazy. I mean, they're scary. You can lose control of your car and truck or whatever. So you know that's a scary situation. So the fact that they have these tires that no longer require air, then that would make it a little safer, I think. I would think. Safety. When you have a blowout. And then I guess you probably, in that sense, if they were airless tires, then the tread probably would go out eventually, so you'd have to replace that. But as far as blowing out, I guess it wouldn't. I don't think it would happen. So we just have to replace it when the treads wear out, which is fine. But I'm sure they're going to be really expensive when they put them out on the market. And tires are already expensive enough as it is. I mean, they are kind of like $1,000 for a set of tires on it. So yeah, that'll be interesting. And then this driver assist, all these things are coming out. Driver self-driving. It's hard to gauge this thing with the windshield wipers. How much? I don't like to go too fast. But yeah, it's like technology is getting to the point where it's going to be like when I drove in the big rigs. You had to learn how to shift all the gears. Which I don't think is. I think it's mostly automatic now. All right, home stretch here. Coming into the home stretch. And this is where all the traffic is. At the roundabout. Because everybody's coming down this way. Roundabouts are interesting. I mean, I know they say there are good and bad things about roundabouts. Because sometimes the traffic flow will be going on just one direction, and they'll be driving so close together. And you can't even know you got a chance to get in there. Not like a red light or a green light, or just wait. So the good thing is you don't have to wait for a light, but then when you're dealing with that, you might have to wait a long time. Alright, here we are. Final destination. Alright. Shut these off. So that was a good day so far. I got to contact a customer. He contacted me this morning when I was doing a job. I told him I was working, so I would get back to him. And these speed bumps. Shake the truck up. It's just about dark time now here. It's hard to see in the mirrors when they're all wet. Oops. Close. Let's see how many miles I got on here, because I always track my miles. Every time I get home, I take a picture of the miles so I can. Okay, so what's that? We can buy a memory. 100 miles. Okay, so I did 100 miles. I did 100 miles today. That's not bad. That's not a big deal. All right, that's done for today. Let's see what we got to do tomorrow. And then the weekend's coming up, so. All right, Good Attitude Services, 10-foot truck signing out. Thanks for listening.